Hello everyone. I just want to make a quick video showing exactly how to line up the shift linkage on an outboard with the shift rod. Now, many people have probably had this issue where when you remove the lower unit, and you're trying to get the lower unit back into the top, the shift rod does not line up with the shift linkage hole. So the shift rod will fit right in here, but these will either be very slightly misaligned or greatly misaligned. And there are multiple reasons this may happen. It's pretty easy to fix, but I just want to explain what's going on here, how to check, and basically just how to make it work right. This is the entire shifting mechanism. So your shifter cable is connected here, so when you pull the controller at the front of the boat, back or forward, this will shift your boat forward, neutral, and reverse. Obviously this will move this metal lever and turn the linkage. So this is the first part of the equation. What gear is the boat currently in? So if it's, say if it's in forward and the lower unit is currently in neutral, clearly the holes will not line up simply because the lower unit thinks it's in neutral while the top thinks it's in forward. So this is the first part of the equation. You want to make sure that both the lower unit and the top are in the same gear. The easiest way to accomplish this is disconnect the shifter cables and move the shifter by hand. So basically just move it to neutral. Then what you want to do is you want to move the shift rod to neutral as well. This is done by lifting it up or pushing it down, and actually this can be very difficult to do by hand. So to make sure the lower unit is in neutral, so if this rod is correct, the propeller will be able to spin freely by hand. You can also do this pretty much in any gear. So say if you put it into forward, what you want to do is you won't be able to move the propeller, but you can rotate the drive shaft at the top and the propeller should spin in forward. At this point, if you do this in forward, you want to make sure the top is also in forward. So as both the top and bottom need to be in the same gear. At this point, when you're trying to line it up, you're getting your lower unit up in the hole. It's it's not the most comfortable thing to get in. You're getting it up, and all the gears are correct, but there's still a very, very small misaligning here, and you just can't quite get that screw through that connects your motor. This, very often the cause of this is that when people take out the lower unit, they accidentally turn the shift rod a couple of times, which causes it to lower or raise. If you take a look at the bottom of the shift rod, there's a simple screw here. That's not focusing. If you take a look at the shift rod lower part, you can see it's a simple screw design. So if you rotate the shift rod, it goes up or down. It's pretty easy to rotate, and as you remove the lower unit, it's kind of a big heavy object. It's easy to just give this one turn either direction, and this will screw the alignment up and make it almost perfect, but just slightly off. So what you want to do is you want to get the engine in the top and the lower unit in the same gear and align these perfectly. At this point, you also want to test the actual shifting, because if there is something misaligned in the shifting, it's possible maybe this could be a little lower, or the shifting angle is slightly off. So for example, maybe when it's in neutral, it's a little bit off, so it needs to just move a tiny little bit down. So in fact, the shift rod may actually need to be adjusted. You just want to make sure that your shifting is good. Once you have it connected, put it into forward, neutral, reverse, test the propeller, make sure it's nice and smooth. So that's pretty much it. And just one other thing to note, one reason why this is slightly difficult is that the shifter does move very little. So you might have noticed, but literally to change gears, it might move, like 1.5 millimeters. So it's literally this much. So if it's in the wrong gear, something's off. It's like a very precise measurement. Both pieces need to align, and most causes are caused by, for example, when you take out the lower unit, you accidentally shift it into a different gear because moving the top part is easy by accident, or just simply you spun it once and it's a little bit off. So you just need to give it 1 or 2 turns, and it'll be back to normal. But most often it's just the fact that you just push this rod accidentally once you remove the lower unit, and at that point it's in a different gear than the top part which you removed it from. And that's it. And like I said at the beginning of the video, removing the control cable just makes it easier to do it by hand, because you can kind of freely adjust it and look at it while you're doing. Well, if you have the cable connected, you have to go to the front of the boat and move the controller. You can do it any way you want, but I just find it easier if you remove the controller cable. And that really is it. This is a very common problem. In fact, if you're new at this, you're most likely going to run into this the first time around. You're going to put this thing up and it's going to misaligned by just 1 millimeter, and you're going to be wondering why. And these are the reasons why, so I just wanted to explain that and hope it helps someone. I just want to note that every shift rod has a specific stock height. You'd have to look at your manual where it's measured, if it's in neutral, forward, or reverse. I believe usually it's in neutral, but there's a height that is supposed to be. So the height is measured from the top of the lower unit, so just from the metal here, all the way to the hole. It's pretty easy to Google. You can check the manual or just see exactly what your engine is supposed to be. But if you measure this distance, you can set your shift rod to be the perfect height that the engine is supposed to be. This will ensure that when you have the top part of the engine, everything is aligned correctly on the bottom, and the issue could be, if you have any issue or misalignment, it would be a problem with the top part. I just want to show this. However, if you don't have this measurement or you're not sure what's going on, you can still get it working pretty good, considering, I mean, the shift rod does one thing, which is shift gears. So as long as you have it set correctly, it's shifting great, you should have no issues. But obviously knowing the exact stock height helps.